Hi guys, and welcome to a new YouTube video here on my channel. My name is Andy. Thank you for joining me here today in our cozy corner of the internet. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And yeah, so you can be up to date with all the cozy videos that we're posting here, some bookish, some media, some cozy gaming, a bit of everything basically. So yeah, for today's video, I was thinking we can do a monthly wrap up, but since I just started posting here on YouTube, I was thinking we can do a wrap up for the first 3 months of the years, and that would be January, February, and March of 2026. And we can talk a bit about each book that I read, what I thought, a quick preview if you want. I can talk a bit more about some than the others. I have here my phone with the entire list, so we can start it. But yeah, before we start, make sure you bring something cozy, maybe a warm blanket, maybe something. It's pretty chilly outside, at least for me here. It's quite rainy today, so I hope you can hear me and see me okay. I got myself a coffee just because I think we might need it. I feel we might be here for a while. Anyway, we are here, so yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so starting with my first read of the year, and that would be A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, The Tales of Duncan Egg, Volume 1 and 3, 1 to 3 actually, by George R. R. Martin. Now, this was, I do not quite know what to expect of this book. I do love the way George R. R. Martin writes, but I will have to be honest with you, I'm not very excited to go into another series simply because we all know that it may never end. We may never have the finale of it. So I was not quite sure what to think about it, what to feel about it, if I should approach this, if not. In the end, I decided to do it just because the TV show was out, and I did not regret at all. So there are three stories in this short book. It's around 100 pages each story, something like that. I do have to admit that the TV show was absolutely phenomenal. I've never seen a TV show that was made so accurately after the book. It was to a T, exactly as the book, with a small exception at the end, but I think everyone enjoyed that part. And then we have another two stories which I believe will be the season 2 and 3. I have to be honest with you, the third story was the one that hit it the least for me, but all in all I give this book 3.5 stars just because it was really enjoyable. So if you loved Game of Thrones and you want a bit more of that honorous knight type of a story, that type of vibe, the I would almost say rags to riches in a way. Not, maybe it doesn't get to the that type of riches like the Lannisters type, but if you know from Game of what was mentioned in Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon and everything, he will end up being quite an honorable knight, which I think we'll just get to see his journey at this point. So yeah, I would recommend this book. It was really not bad. I'm not sure if this will ever end, but luckily they are just short stories, so at least we get to enjoy some pills of more Game of Thrones universe. So yeah, I really enjoyed this very much. I'm looking forward to read the next, and especially to see the next seasons in the TV show. Next, we have People Who Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Now, I have to be honest with you. I read a few books of Emily Henry last year and they were not my favorite. I mean, they were okay, but I don't know. I think with all the hype around it, I was expecting something wow, something out of the ordinary, something that was just unexpected to hit like a truck, basically. And that didn't quite happen with what I read last year. Now, I did chose to read People Who Meet on Vacation, and that was on audiobook simply because well the movie was about to come out and I was very excited to see that one, and I was like, okay, let's first read the book and then we can see the movie. And I have to admit that this was an extremely pleasant surprise because I rated this 4.5. It was, I'm not a hugest fan of Friends to Lovers usually, but for this one it kind of was a nail to the head. It was perfect. It was exactly what it needed to happen. I did decrease a tiny little bit there just because there was something missing there. I'm not quite sure what, but a tiny little bit of something missing to make it a 5 star. But nonetheless, it was an amazing read. It was a very strong start of the year. I would totally recommend the book, and especially the movie was very well done. I really loved it. So yeah, totally recommend this one. And in case I haven't mentioned The Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I read it in paperback. Okay, next we have The Seven Dials Mystery by Agatha Christie. As you can see here, I was on a run just to read a bunch of books that had adaptations coming this year. And unfortunately, I'm a huge Agatha Christie fan. I think she is the mother of thrillers. She's just something else. But unfortunately, this one did not do it for me. Unfortunately, the story was, I don't know, a little bit short. I was really not being very excited to pick it back up. I was living the book and then I had to force myself to pick it back up. I read it in paperback. It's just, it was really not it for me. And I was very tempted to DNF it, about 40%, and then I picked up the audiobook. I forced myself to listen to the audiobook, which is a force because audiobooks are usually easier to digest if you want. But yeah, this was really not my favorite. I rated 2.5 star. It was just not it for me, unfortunately. I'm yet though to see the movie. I think it's a movie, not a TV show. Anyway, I haven't seen that yet. But yeah, when it comes to the book, it was not it for me, unfortunately. Next, we have the Duke and I. So I did study the major readathon if you want when it comes to the Bridgerton series. So I'm gonna go a bit quicker through those just because I'm preparing a special video to talk specifically about the whole Bridgerton series. And yeah, so I'm gonna go quicker here. Most of the Bridgerton series I read in audiobooks. Just because I absolutely loved it and it was their body and soul. And I'm gonna go this. So first we have the Duke and I. And for the Duke and I did rate it 4 out of 5 stars. To be honest, I really enjoyed it. In the TV show, Daphne's story was a bit safe. I think that's the best way. Just like an introduction, you know? Not always the introductions are the best stories, but they are so good that they will keep you coming back for more and more. That's exactly what the book was as well. It was relatively close to what happened in the TV show, so nothing major, but I actually very much enjoyed it. So it was no problem for me that I actually saw the TV show before reading this book. And yeah, well, no, I really, really enjoyed it. Then we have The Viscount Who Loved Me, which is Anthony's story, and this was 5 out of 5. The season 2 was my all-time favorite. It's still my all-time favorite. I don't think anyone can top Mr. Anthony Bridgerton. It's just phenomenal. I mean, look at this man. It's something else. We're gonna talk more about this later, but this is, yeah, 5 out of 5 too. Then we have An Offer from a Gentleman, which is basically Benedict's story. This was not my favorite, you guys. I think this was my least favorite story. At least how the book. I really did not like their chemistry in the book. I think it was a bit lacking for me. So I did rate it 3.5 stars, but I'm very happy to say that the TV show did a way better job at that, and the actors' chemistry compensated for the lack of it in the book. So, yeah, that's it for my side. Then we have Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, and this one is Colin's story. Now I really love Colin. He's like my second favorite Bridgerton out of all of them. It's just, I really loved him. Uh and yeah, it's very much a friends to lover type of a story between him and Penelope. Exactly as if you saw the TV show, it's pretty much close. It was my second favorite, to be honest, after Anthony. I mean, Anthony, it was almost a 6 star. We can call it that. Is there, and then will be the Colin story. So yeah, I absolutely love it. 5 stars. Then we have to Sir Philip with Love, and that's the Bridgerton, the fifth book, and this is Eloise's story. Now I know we're still yet to get the season for her, and I think she's a bit of a firecracker type of a character. I do like her most of the time. This story was so and so for me. Was not bad, was not great. I rated 4.25 just because I was getting very, very picky with my 25. There was not quite a 4, but not quite a 4.5. It was that middle ground. I usually don't do 0.25s, but I did tend to do that more for the Bridgerton series than any other, just because there was something that was not quite there. But we'll talk more about this later on. Then I took a small break and read That is Decisions, basically, is the Seven Brother Bratva Volume 1. And I did get this as an arc from NetGalley in audiobook format, basically. You will notice that's a trend. I love listening to audiobooks, especially as I'm multitasking. Yes, I rated this 4.5. I absolutely love it. My only complaint was that it was slightly short. And I think I would have wanted a bit more of the story, but I know that again, it's just the volume 1. I'm very much looking forward to read the rest. So yeah, I am very much a fan of this book. I would recommend you pick it up if it has around 100 pages, so it can be read in a day easily. Then we have When He Was Wicked, and this is based on Volume 6, which is Francesca's story. Now, I'm not gonna go into where the TV show will take this whole story, so I'm gonna strictly refer to the book. And for the book, I absolutely loved it. I love Francesca, I love her whole energy. I think this book touched some very important topics like infertility and, well, young death, basically. And even though it's very sad, it's also very hopeful in the same time, because it's there is a fatality to a certain extent, but it's also hope from the beginnings. And it was that type of ointment for the soul, this type of book. And yeah, I rated it 4.75. I absolutely love it. Then we're going into the Shadow series, and the first book is in Shadows of Obsession, and this series is by Ramona Nimes. She's a Romanian author, but you can find the books on her website in English as well, both as in Romania, in case you are there. Now, first and foremost, it was in the Shadows of Obsession. I still, to this day, think this is my favorite book from her. I just think it's absolutely phenomenal. So, the whole story and the MMCU, guys, it is just something else. So first and foremost, yeah, this is the whole story of Luna and Roman. In case I haven't mentioned it, and Roman is one of the most amazing MMCs. Period. It's right there on the top. I really have to make a video with you guys to talk about my favorite MMCs and FMCs. But yeah, he is very much there on the top. He's the leader of a very powerful mafia organization. There's just something else. And I'm gonna redo a quote just so you can understand where I am here. I hadn't connected it to Luna until now. I'm not a religious man, but this feels like a sign. And being the spiritual person I apparently am now, who am I to ignore divine intervention? Another quote here is, I'll bring you coffee. When the vein in your head finally pops, I hope you put me in your well. And that's Luna to Roman, and she's just very feisty. I absolutely love their relationship. I love their dynamic. So yeah, this is a 5 out of 5. It's just an amazing book. He's my ultimate favorite MMC from this series. Is just something else. Then we go to the Shadows of the Past. Now, even though Roman is my favorite MMC, when it comes to a book, this is a 6 star for me. And I just realized now that we have actually two 6 stars read for this year, and I just now realized that. So yeah, how cool for us! I absolutely forgot um, about that. So we have Shadows of the Past, and this is basically Maxime's and Julia's story. In the Yeah, basically this is very much the underdog type of a story. They go through some very traumatizing things. It's very fucked up, if you know me. It's just very mind blowing. It's just unreal to see how many things someone can go through and still succeed in the end. I mean, that's the most empowering story ever. And yeah, this is clearly a 6 star for me. Just beware, those books are kind of spicy, not like smutty, but spicy. Okay, next we have Shadow of Fury, and this is a 4.5 out of 5 for me. I do absolutely love the dynamic between them, and I do have to admit that out of all the FMCs, Roxanne is my favorite, and she's an event planner, and her well, husband Damien basically is well, another firecracker of the Polish mafia, and the whole dynamic, the whole relationship is he falls first, she falls hard. To recap here from the main three ones, because I still yet to read the novella, but I'm thinking I'm gonna go do it this month, and then we can do a whole video about the entire universe. But yeah, so my favorite MMC will be Roman from Shadows of Past. My favorite FMC is Roxanne from Shadows of Fury, and my favorite book of all time from my favorite book from the series actually is Shadows of Past. So yeah, do with that as you may. Next, we have another arc here, and this is Tequila Songbird. And this is very much a rock star romance. She's an aspiring artist, he's an ultimate rock star, and their whole dynamic and their whole relationship. I giggled and I loved it to a T. This was a 4.5 out of 5. As you can see, we had a very good reading year so far. Then it's just absolutely phenomenal. I cannot wait for the second book to pick it up and to read it. It's just, I absolutely adore this arc, and I was not expecting it because with indie authors, if you want, you never know what to expect, because it's not like you have a lot of trackers with the big names to know a lot of books from them. It's just very much on the vibes. You're picking them on the vibes, and this was absolutely phenomenal. I loved it. I ate it up. I would recommend to everyone 1,000%. Next, we have another arc, and this was God of Love. Now, this unfortunately was my first DNF of the year. It was just, it felt a bit unfinished to me, and it just, my brain could not process the information very well, so I decided to DNF it around 10% out of the book. It just, I couldn't process what's going on. It felt a bit all over the place, at least for how my brain worked. It just didn't work for me. Then we have the Thursday Murder Club, and I had very high expectations for this just because of the TV show and everything. I was just very much hyped, very much wanting to be the next great thing. Unfortunately, it was mid for me, a maybe if you want. I rated it 3.5, and not bad, not great. I just think it could have been way better. I'm not sure how the rest are, but to be honest, I'm not sure if I want to read it. I'm not necessarily feeling the attraction to read the rest. If you convince me, if you tell me that I should read the rest, they get better. Maybe just ones at the moment for me. I'm gonna listen to you, but for now, it was just not it, unfortunately. Next, we have Through Last We Fell, and this is the Last and Desire duet, book one. And this was another art that I got. I read it in Kindle, basically. And this was a 3 out of 5. Now, this was not a bad story at all. I just feel like, and we had a bit of inconsistency with the characters, especially with her character. And I don't know, if being portrayed from a female point of view, I just felt like it was not hitting home for me, basically, if you know what I mean. I just thought that the whole story was very nice. The whole arc was amazing. My only problem is that since it was from a female point of view, I think she was portrayed like a bit all over the place, a bit unstable, and not in a way that a female would understand, and it didn't feel like that at all. And unfortunately, at least his arc felt a bit incomplete, because we got to see her whole journey and how the relationship benefited her, but never see his side of things properly till the end. Now, I do believe the second book will most probably fill in some gaps. I'm gonna read it at some point. But yeah, the first one was I think it could have been better just with some edits, in my opinion. Now, next we have Lore Olympus Volume 2. Now, I started this whole series in December, and from time to time when I need something light, I'm picking another one. This is basically a graphic novel. I think there are around 10 volumes out, and I read 3 so far. Now, it's very light-hearted, very nice. It's a modern telling of Hades and Persephone, and I am absolutely eating it up. I love it. This was a 4.5, strictly the volume 2. In general, I would totally recommend it. It's very light-hearted, very nice. You can easily go through, and you just want to wind down, but you don't want anything heavy, like I don't know, a different type of a story. Next, we have Want to Know a Secret by Frida McFadden, and I got this as an arc. Thank you very much, Donette Kelly, for this arc. I read it on Kindle, actually, and I absolutely love it. To be honest, if you love Desperate Housewives and Pretty Little Liars, this is exactly where they meet, in the middle, and there's right there this book. To be honest, I think that the twist at the end was quite nice and surprising. The rest was slightly predictable, very much enjoyable. At the end, she's posting recipes, different type of recipes, and she's very successful. But she lives in the suburbs with a bunch of other moms, and there's a lot of stories and a lot of drama going on there. Now, of course, some things happen, and we get to see a bit some glimpses of the past. And as is in all Frida's books, the first half is one POV, the second half is another POV, so we can get a different perspective, which I absolutely love about the whole book in general, in all her books in general. So yeah, I think it was slightly predictable, but I very much enjoyed it in the end. So I would totally recommend that one. Next, we have Captive of the Wild Hunt, Heart of the Trial series. This was my second DNF of the year, unfortunately. This was also an arc, and I chose to DNF this about 30% in, just because there were a few similarities with other popular series that I just could not fathom very well. So yeah, I did decided to do the end of this. No further words needed. Then we have Project Hail Mary, and oh my god, this book changed my world. So this was my first science fiction book that I actually read, and I never expected to like it the way I did. Of course, I read it because of the movie coming out, and I didn't know exactly what to expect because I was never a big science fiction girly. But with this, to be honest, this opened a whole new world for me, and I'm very much looking for to read more in science fiction and to deep dive a bit more into the whole universe. So I absolutely love it. I am obsessed with this book. I rated 4.5 just because it's quite heavy in the science department as you would expect, and it was slightly overwhelming for me at times. But it's absolutely phenomenal. I would recommend it to anyone, even if you read sci-fi before, even if not. It really doesn't matter. Is the fact that you may not understand all the science bits, which is the case for me as well, will not affect your experience at all. So in the end, it's an absolute phenomenal story. I absolutely love it. I would recommend it to anyone. So yeah. Next, we have Cartier Florior, and this is a Romanian book that is actually, I got this as an arc. It's about to launch this month in April, on April 21st. And this is very much a dark romance punk story of a, well, a bad side of the city, if you want, and everything is reflecting the life there. Both the way they talk, they act, it's quite violent, it's not sugarcoating everything, it's not lighthearted, but I actually very, very much enjoyed it. I was initially not sure how I will go with very explicit language because it's not something I read a lot of. But I went in very open minded and I really, really enjoyed it. Once I was able to connect the fact that the whole language has a part in everything, in the way that, in all the bad neighborhood, that rough type of explicit language is what defines a bit the power place, if you want, in those places. All in all, I totally recommend this book. I would just very much read the trigger warnings and make sure you are very much aware of that, because as I mentioned, it's not an easy book for the faint of heart, but it's a 4.5 out of 5. I absolutely love it. So yeah, I would totally recommend that. Next, we have the Midnight Line, and this is a Jack Reacher volume 22nd. Did I read anything else from Lee Child? No. Did I read anything else from the Jack Reacher series? Also no. But it's the interconnected standalone, so you don't actually have to read the whole thing, or at least that's what I want to tell myself, because I just learned this randomly. I was one night playing some poker with my boyfriend, and we're like, oh, let's add an audiobook in the background, and he was already listening to a bunch of early child, and I'm like, okay, sure, let's listen to this together. I really enjoyed it. It's the type of very chill, very relaxed read. I'm not very drawn to, oh my god, let's read the other 20, 30 books that are in the series, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm very much looking forward to watch the TV show for, if for nothing else, for the plot. And with that, I said everything. Anyway, was a trip out of 5 for me. It was very much enjoyable. I would recommend this. Next, we have Woman Down by Colleen Hoover, and this is her latest release, released sometime in January. Now, I rated this 3.5 out of 5. And how should I tell it? So, in general, I'm a huge Colleen Hoover fan. She is the one that got me back into reading as an adult, and I just have the biggest respect for her, and I absolutely love all her books. I think the Tristar is like the borderline for most of them, which is a very good book in the end. Uh, but I don't know, for this one, I think expecting a bit more that I got. So I was expecting to be a bit blown away, maybe just because she took a bit of a break from writing, and I was expected to have my flabbergasted. But it was not quite the case. It fell a bit short. Was interesting, but did not blow me away in any way, shape, or form. Was it nice? Yes. Would I recommend it to you? Sure. But don't go in with a huge expectation. I think just go and chill and relax, and you will enjoy the ride. As I mentioned, the story was really not bad. I was just hoping for the twist to be twisting a bit more, if you know what I mean. Then we have In Her Own League by Liz Ford, and this is the spin-off from the Windy City series. I have no words to describe how much I love this book. I've been talking about it nonstop since I finished it, and it's just phenomenal. So if there is a gut tier, and then there's this book, it's just something else. So Mr. Montgomery is there's gonna be a whole vlog coming, I think, after this video. So make sure you check that out, and I'm gonna tell you a bit more in detail what I feel about this book. So I'm not gonna go in here. It's a 5 out of 5. Absolutely, it's a million out of 5. And I can honestly say this is the best book of the year so far. This one and Shadows of the Past are my 6 star reads. And last but not least, we have Lore Olympus, Volume 3. And this one I rated 3.5 out of 5. And to be honest, I mainly think I rated it a bit lower just because I was not that much in the mood. I just wanted something to lay low, to relax my brain. I took a few days off just to rest and collect my creative juices, if you want. And yeah, I wanted a book that was very lighthearted and I could disconnect a bit. So I was not fully 1,000% invented, and I think that's why the story did not grasp me as it used to. It was still interesting. It was still nice. I cannot wait for volume 4 to read it in most probably pretty soon. Yeah, all in all, very much enjoyable. Very much I liked it. I will totally recommend it to you. And yeah, this one was on Kindle as well. So yeah, I think those are all the books I've read this year. I think we have around 25, 26. So we have 26 books read in the first 3 months. To be honest, it was a pretty good beginning of the year. We had some very strong ones. We have some not so strong ones, but there is good and there are bad. It's all part of things. So yeah, if you got up to this point, thank you so much for joining me and choosing to spend some time with me today. I love you the most. Yeah, stay tuned for some of very exciting new videos coming pretty soon. Let me know in the comments down below what is your ultimate best read for this year. If you had any, if not, just come and say hi. I'm very much looking forward to talk to you guys. And yeah, see you next time. And until Tuesday, until Tuesday, stay cozy in your chaos, guys. Bye.